I know it's. Oh, hi, Tom. Give me a second here. Yeah, I'm going to have to lower the sound on this. It's getting pretty bad feedback. Thought it was my iPhone. Anything yet? Yeah, I've got them all muted. Camera 3. I find I'm just trying to resolve this problem. Maybe we can do another check on that. Okay, so sorry about that. It's the usual problem. Yeah, we're in. Yeah, as I said, the usual problem, Murphy's Law and all of that. Once, you think you've got it solved, and then something else pops up. I guess you're still getting that bad feedback. I'm going to try something else. Okay, I think I'm getting a little bit of an echo here, but there is audio. And it seems to be coming through my laptop. Yeah, okay, Tom, thanks very much. So we'll just have to go with this for the moment because I can't get that echo out of there. And it seems to be, yeah, that's okay. Thanks, Flymo. The echo seems to be coming through my laptop. I'm not sure why that is. But anyway, thanks for dropping by. Really appreciate it. I know there's lots of choices out there. I'll acknowledge Buckland Junction, Alan Reynolds in the loft, because he had a very good show there yesterday. And I see that many of you were there watching. So, yeah, I've had the APT running. I'll just bring it out again. It seems to run better once it's warmed up. It's a little bit temperamental. It sticks at the odd occasion. But it gets round there and the lights are working. And as I may have told you, I've got another one in the box. I think I've just got to fix one wire and then I'll be able to get that one out too. Yeah, we'll see you, Flymo. Thanks very much for dropping by and helping out. It's always difficult to pick a good time for this. We'll see if we can get this time slot available. Because we've got 3 grandkids here and, upstairs. My wife's trying to keep it busy while I do this. And you know what it's like, it takes a while to get things organised and check things. Everything seems to be good, and then of course it goes wrong when you press a button to go live, but that's always the case, and we won't worry about that. We're live now, and that's what counts. One thing I've noticed about the APT is it makes a little bit of a noise coming through where the guide inside the motor coach, the guide rubs against the body, and I think that's what causes the little noise. Anyway, just bring it in for a second here and I'll get something else out. And if you saw my review of the Hornby catalogue, the prefix to it was I was talking about Ringfield Motors because Alan Reynolds was talking about them, and it seemed appropriate just to jump on the topic. A while back I had been chatting with Barry Davis about the Black 5s and how some work better than others, and my A4s were making a whining noise. And you know, I'll see if I can just change a camera here and So I'm going to see if you can. You probably wouldn't be able to see this, but you know that's it's like an alloy cog, and Barry recommends replacing that with a brass one. Now I've got 4 of them here, and I'll get around to replacing that. But the problem often lies. I'll just turn that over. The problem often lies in. Let's see if I can blow that one up. Just hang on a second. Yeah, so the problem often lies in the cog. Sort of layer there. The cog in here, the small one, doesn't always engage with the cog on the driving wheel, and that's what causes the spinning, because everything's moving but there's no engagement here. So if you get a problem like that, check this out before you strip the whole thing apart, and that might help. So another thing I was going to chat about, I bought one of these Elgato Stream Deck, Elgato Stream Deck, thinking that it would probably help me with the cameras, but when I opened the box I realised no, you can't hook the cameras into this unit. This unit would get hooked into the laptop or your desktop, and you would go from there. And that's a bit of a disappointment. So I'm returning it, and that's it. I'll work with what I have, and now I've got 3 cameras filming. I'm able to continue. I'm just going to go back to this one, cam 1. Get out here and go into the Logitech, and there, now you see 3 different views. Mystic Railroads, hey, how are you? Flymo just had to leave, and yeah, I'm good here, as I think everybody else is. The cut tends to lean a bit gears over at an angle. Tom, are you talking about the APT? Because yeah, the fact is, it's a tilting train, of course, and it does rub against the guide, rubs against the body inside as it goes around the curves, and I think that's part of the noise that you hear. Yeah, and as Flymo says, the nylon cog, it's got to go. And as I said, I have 4 of them, and I'm just in the process of changing them out. This particular one here, it's an alloy. It's not nylon. But I should probably change it out for the best and put the brass one in, and then I won't have that particular problem. But you need to be aware of the interface between the small cog and the driving wheel cog. Sometimes the wheel gauge comes apart, and there's too much axle movement in there, and so you get a disconnect between that cog and the cog in the wheel. Yeah, the Hornby tender drives. Yeah, so for me, it's a case of, this is what I've discovered. You may be onto something else there, Tom. Well, it's about 27 degrees here in Toronto, and I'm not complaining. Let's see this finally. Yeah, you're right, Flymo. Barry Davis really has it down pat, so to speak, and so did Bill. There's a number of things that can go wrong. You just have to work through them. Yeah, so that black 5 there is working pretty good as it pulls that rake of ScotRail West Highland Railways. I'm not sure when that stopped running, but I don't think it's been in service for a number of years. Yeah, as you can see, this hesitates a little bit, and I think it gets caught up with that guide in there. It's always drama. See. Let me just see if I can. Yeah, I know what it is with that one. It just doesn't like that that curve there. Anyway, let's get this round here. If you like audio effects, the these old triangles certainly give your money's worth. They also give you drama, as I explained. Not really sure why that happened there, but I think if you get one wagon that just goes off, it pulls everything off, and I think that is very much the case here. Let me take this one off. Well, Mystic Railroad, I'll tell you what's going on here. Some of the locos and coaches don't like the tighter radii, and that's an occurrence here. I like to keep the longer trains with the longer coaches on the outside track. They seem to run an awful lot smoother there. Just going to change the objective a little bit. Well, I started collecting about 20 years ago, and everything was in boxes for the longest time because I was working with a consulting engineering company, and I was doing long hours, and I was having to travel a lot. Out to site and other offices. I spent 2 years in Winnipeg rolling out a new piece of software. And as a result, I never really get the time to do anything with it. But then about 3 or 4 years ago, I was helping a friend of mine build his layout, massive layout, like 20 to 30 feet, and that kind of gave me the impetus to get mine started, and because I was retired, it made sense that I make an effort to get it started. And so I've got this layout in the basement, and while it's I've got a fair bit of stuff here, I've had issues with some of it. Just going to get this LMS to go back and so the story you may have heard me speak about with these coaches, they're the Caledonian Railway coaches, and you might have seen Double O Bill service the Caledonian Railway 123 locomotive and get it running really smoothly. Well, back in the end of May, I took that locomotive and those coaches to the Model Railway Show here. I put them up for sale, and somebody scooped the locomotive, and it was just shortly thereafter, well, a couple of weeks ago, that Bill did the service and repair on the locomotive. And I thought, I wish I'd have done it earlier, because the thing ran okay, but it would bounce around in the points, and Bill seemed to get that solved by removing those magnets and jigging it a little bit, and it seemed to work really well. It's regrettable, but I had made the decision to try and sell that, the whole set, because I didn't want it sitting in a box. Clive, I'm good, and yeah, I heard it's raining in Northern Ireland. Well, you had such a great run of good weather, and the grass needs the rain and the flowers, so you need to look at it that way. Yeah, fly more, I know what you mean, and that's what happens. And so I'm just going to let you see what's going on here. See, there's the blue Pullman sets down there, and a variety of other things, stuff, right? And that's what happens. Yeah, I think the tanker, the BOC tanker, needs a little bit of attention with its wheel gauge. You know, that and plus maybe the hooks and the couplings and the other goods wagons that are not perfectly aligned, and sometimes if they're not, they can come loose or disconnect or turn over. So I'm trying to get this tunnel completed. I get distracted. What I want to do is get the town to come around over here, and that'll enhance the layout. Yeah, it's a Deltic. It's the 5 and 4 foot Fusiliers. Oh, sorry. The 5 and 4 foot Yeomanry. I've had that for the longest time. Give it a service now and again, and it runs. It's a little bit on the noisy side, but hey, locomotives are noisy, and I don't think it's necessary for you to go and spend £50 to put sound in it. But that's my opinion, and not everybody shares that, and that's fine. It's just the same as people paying £200 and £300 for a new Deltic. That's not something I would do. Being Scottish, it goes against the grain, but I don't know. I just can't get my head around why you would pay that amount of money. But it's all about economics and the whole thing, and the value of your pound or the value of your dollar, wherever it might be. We can go down into the States and it costs us 30 cents on the dollar, sometimes more. But we like going down there, and that's just the way it is. Just going to change this. Just bear with me here. Those coaches would never have been pulled by that Class 47 in real life, but it's a model railway. You can do whatever you like. Yeah. Yeah, loonies and toonies. And you can't take them anywhere because banks whatever don't accept them. So you just have to find other ways of taking money with you when you travel. Either, in our case, we would get a US dollar credit card and, you know, pay for it when we get back, or buy US dollars before we go down. And the thing is, everything's done by credit card and everything's being tapped everywhere you go, and it's convenient. But we always have this two-step verification, so as soon as we put the transaction in, we'll get an email from the credit card company asking for confirmation of that particular purchase, and that's a level of security. Right? Well, okay, Clive. Actually, I'm not really sure which wheels would be appropriate. However, I do have additional Hornby wheels, and I got some wheels from China when I was re-wheeling the car transporters. Some of you might be aghast seeing that Class 47 on there, so we'll put something else on. I've got 3 of these little 4Fs in there. Nice locomotives. I think 2 of them are Airfix, and they run really well. I don't have the crew in there yet, but I'll be getting around to it, and that's one thing I like to see. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's investments. Don't really want to talk about investments, but you know, I've got mutual funds as my retirement thing, and took an awful hit in the last year. But you just have to stick with it and not panic, knowing that it's going to come back eventually. Not sure when that will be, but yeah. But you can't take it with you. Yeah, it's very convenient for the banks. I listened to this guy, Dan I Allegedly, on YouTube. He's got a daily show. He lives in the Los Angeles area, and he wanders around the beaches down there talking about the economy, about real estate, about rental units, and how precarious the situation is. People not paying their bills. Banks are now saying they don't want your car back, they want the money. But there's repossessions of vehicles going up and up and up, so it's not a good situation down there. And it's something that we should all kind of pay attention to. Watch your dollars or pounds, because inflation is definitely on the rise. And I don't know, for me, I wouldn't be spending £300 on a locomotive, because I don't think it's really that much of investment. I mean, if I thought I could make a few dollars on some of the stock that I have here, I would sell it, because I eventually will sell it, and I don't expect to be making money on them. However, I know there's a lot of people been putting the Deltics up on eBay, and I think somebody said, somebody was asking £500 for it. I mean, that's Looney Tunes. Alan Reynolds, Alan in the Loft. Good show last night, Alan, and like 42 people on there. That was tremendous. I was chatting to the guys at StreamYard yesterday, and I think there's a limit of 12 people can join the stream with StreamYard. And Chris Hales, Chris, you get a good show there as well. And I love the viaduct that you're using for your thumbnail. That's tremendous. And I guess it's the Glenfinnan viaduct built by Robert McAlpine. I'm just wondering how many of you jump onto Jenny's Monday Club show. I know Flymo is often seen on there, and Alan Reynolds is well known there too. Chris 3D Hales. So, what's that about? Chris, are you into 3D printing? Or waiting on a CD kit? Yeah, I've considered that, and I'm just wondering. I thought I saw the guy at Strathspey Models put one together. I mean, the little I know about it is you can take a CD drive and just adapt it. Well, 2 3D printers, that's pretty cool. I've got one. It's a monoprice filament printer. That's what was available at a reasonable price at the time. Although, obviously, the resin printer would be much better for some of the stuff that we might use on the railway part. You know, I've done things like, there's my buffer stop, turned out alright, paint it up and it looks quite good. You may also have seen my pressure tank, a little bit rough in the bottom, but you can clean that up, sand it down a little bit and paint it and it'll look pretty good. It's not good for trying to print figures. Fine detail just isn't there. Yeah, Alan, I'm not sure how many you ended up with in terms of subscribers, but you were certainly creeping up there towards 1,500. And there were 1 or 2 other guys in there who were hoping to get more subscribers. And it's interesting, Alan, that you spoke about monetizing. Let's see. Yeah, that's true, but I think it's been taken care of quite a lot. So about monetization, yeah, you have to pay tax on what you earn, and the IRS will send you a letter, as I think some of you would know, and it's, you know, it gets to the point where, as Alan said, is it really worth it? All that paperwork and keeping money aside because you've made a little bit from your efforts. I'm not at 1,000 yet, so it doesn't affect me at this point, but it's something I should consider as I approach that number. It's different if you've got it as a business, and in our case, this is a very small market, and you know, some guys do very well, most don't, but there's a guy in England, Ali Abdal. So the guy trained as a doctor, and then, you know, during that period, he dabbled in YouTube, and he come up with different programs. He taught people how to sit the medical exam, how to study for it, etc., etc. And then he come up with different courses on marketing, etc. The guy who pulls in a few $1 million, or pounds or dollars, whatever it is, much more than he would as a doctor, and he's got millions of followers around the world now, and you know, more power to him because he puts a lot of effort in it. And I think I might have told you, my daughter and her boyfriend down in LA, they're into the social stuff and on YouTube, and they do very well at that, but they work extremely hard. They don't take Saturday and Sunday off, let's say. They're constantly pushing the envelope. And, you know, when you start getting in millions of viewers, you're always looking where the next million is coming from. You're always having to come up with new ideas. Whereas here, it's more of a community thing. if we all sort of help each other along the way with problems and challenges in an electrical, mechanical, scenery way, we're all so far better off. If you can make a little bit of money in the process, that's great. But the way things are, I wouldn't suggest anybody would expect to retire anytime soon and what you could earn from your Model Railway YouTube channel. But hey, you just keep plugging away and eventually you might crack it. Because if you watch YouTube, they're always dropping things like, yeah, YouTube is going to make it easier for the small channel to monetize and generate income. I don't know. I've got a Shopify store where I sell t-shirts of hand-drawn or hand-painted vehicles and different other things. I sold a couple, but it cost me $40 a month just to operate. Yeah, you're right, Alan. It's trying to get generate an income that's worth the effort. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of work. And just think, you've bought cameras and microphones, maybe a new laptop, etc., etc. And you're not really getting anything back for those efforts. I mean, some people have got it so that I can't remember who it was. I was listening to Double Bill. He's got a sort of similar opinion, and what Bill does is, okay, I can service your local, give me £10, that'll cover the cost of postage back to you. And he says, often, the people that send the local things, well, there's 15 or there's 20, and that's terrific because that's a reward for his efforts and his work, and it helps him cover the costs. So you can do it that way, or you can sell badges and stuff, and shout outs and chats, super chats and whatever. And if that's your thing, that's fine. So there's a million ways to skin a cat, and I'm really not sure what the answer is. Yeah, 212. I've got about 360, Alan. Albeit they're not all model railways. Some of them are travel, and car rentals, and art, and different other stuff that I did over the years before I began to focus in on the model railways. And that came about because my daughter, who's a social media star, said, "Oh, Dad, you can't be doing art and travel and car critiques and model railways because the people that come out to see your car critiques aren't really interested in seeing the model railways. So if you get a good response from the model railway group, then maybe you should just focus on that." And that's what I started doing. And slowly but surely I maybe get 1 or 2 subs every month, and it would just creep up, and that's what it's doing. And, you know, that's fine. If people out there see something they like, or they hear something they like, then that's what it's all about. And you know, share a little bit of knowledge back and forth. But back to the 3D prints. Yeah. Brian at Finnerton, he's doing some great stuff. Producing a variety of models that you can use on your model railway for sure. And that's very useful. And you do a great job there. One thing I often wondered about was airports. Why they made the figures 172. I know that the aircraft were 172, but you'd have thought they'd have had the foresight to include 176, because Triang, Hornby, Double, Rain, etc. were all 176. I guess they missed the boat on that one. And it makes it more difficult for the likes of us to try and source out some figures. But there are a few guys out there who are producing their own figures, and that's a great thing, because you get a variety of stuff too. So how is everybody else doing out there? Alan, you never responded in how many subs you got last night, or well, Crossways, how are you, Bernie? And how the show finished. I didn't see it all the way through. Yeah, nice of you to stop by, Bernie. Yeah, afternoon, it's 2:03 in the afternoon, about 26, 27 degrees outside. Have the air conditioning on in the house, so it's very comfortable. Yeah, Chris, thanks very much for dropping by, and be interested in your next broadcast to see what you've done on 3D prints. Thanks for dropping by. The Mystic Railroad, yeah, thanks for coming. Appreciate that. We'll see you next time. .4 degrees in Dover. Hey, that's comfortable. You can still get a suntan at 21 degrees. Or is that 21 degrees in the loft? out and move something around here. And change that one. A little bit rocky. What's happening here? Yeah, it was a good show there last night, Bernie. Well, before you invest in the 3D printer, do your homework because there's a number of them around, and you'll need to start modelling because what's available on the internet isn't always free. So yeah, you just need to do a little bit of homework. So in my case, I was pretty fortunate because, as I told you, I was a draftsman, a CAD guy, 3D CAD guy, etc. So I knew how to do a bit of modelling, and I can get my head around the 3D programs that are out there. And many of them are very easy to use. Once you get the idea of X, Y, and Z, and basically that's it. You can take a cube and you can select one face of the cube, and then you can pull it. Which means you're stretching that face out and it increases the size of the cube, and you can do that on each face, and then you can add to it. So if you were thinking of getting a 3D printer, I'd suggest that you jump into a software called Tinkercad. Now, Tinkercad is a simple 3D software that most guys with a bit of grey matter between their ears would be able to operate and learn from it. So you know, check that out before you you do anything else. And once you get comfortable with it, you'll be off and running. And you'd be able to start modelling. Just trying to see which is what's going to go here and what's not. Anyway, I'm just going to I need to pull this round because I've got a problem with one track that I'll describe at another time and maybe get a solution. Yeah, so as I say, Tinkercad is worthwhile looking at. It's free, and you can learn it pretty easily. Yeah, that motor's a bit noisy now. Yeah, that one will need to go in for a service too. Sometimes it just goes away, but it's pretty persistent for the most part. To give you an idea of what's possible with 3D prints, there's an example. I downloaded this from the internet, printed it and painted it, and then I built these relay cabinets, some different sizes. Now, they're not bad. The only negative aspect to it is I didn't get the sloped roof on the top here, and that's an easy fix. I can go back into the model that I made and edit it, and that's how I did this one. I did that one first, so that was the one that I did first, and then I took that model and I reduced it in size and came up with the single cabinet. So, you know, there's lots of things you can do. Clive will find on Thingiverse, you will find some stuff. I think that's where I found the skip. Now I meant to make a note. There's another enthusiast out there who's got a nice layout. I was watching and commented on it, and he built a single signal gantry. And I said, "Oh, did you scratch build that, or was it a kit?" They said, "No, I 3D printed it." And he told me where to find it. And I downloaded it, I printed it, and it failed. Now, I imagine it failed because I may not have had the settings correctly. And I never asked him if the settings that he had for the gantry were based on his printer, which it probably was. So when you download something from the internet, it's what they call a .stl file, and that's a language that enables the slicer to read. So you build a model, and it's an STL file. You put it into a slicer, which is another little add-on software package, which is also free, called Cura, C-U-R-A, and there are others. And what it does is it takes your model and then it slices it. And when I say slice it, that means it will start at the very bottom and it will lay the plastic down, the ABS, and it will do it by layer. So depending on the height, you can have 100 layers, and depending on how thick you want those layers to be. But it's easy to understand. So when it's done that, you export it or save it as a G-code file. Now, the best way to explain a G-code file is if I demonstrate with that. That's the start point. Now from that start point, I will go 3 inches in that direction, and then I'll go 1 inch in that direction, 3 inch in that direction, and 1 inch in that direction. And that's a G code. And if you can imagine, you can go along here, you can go up, across, down, you can go any variation, any shape, and the printer uses the G code language. You might want to look it up, G code, for a better explanation, or one that you could read a few times to get the drift of. And that is a language which the printer reads and directs the head of the printer to start laying, because it's got to be in a continuous loop. You can't go from there to there and then jump from there to there. It's a continuous travel, like so, right, until you build it up. And that's what it did with this. It did the base, and then it started laying levels all the way around until it got the completed, and that probably took 3 hours or thereabouts. And it's not an instantaneous thing, it does take time, and you've got to get your head around that too. You can do things like this, and you can make multiple copies. If you've got a filament printer, a wheel would be about $30 or thereabouts. Get it off Amazon, and it's that would last a long time, because you're talking about grams here, grams of material to print these little things. So it's, and then when you get into it and you understand the software, what you can do is, if something breaks in your house, a latch or a button or anything that would cost you a fortune to buy from a supplier or take you forever to try and source, you can actually make it yourself once you get to understand how the 3D printer works. Now, that box there, that was done by Budget Model Railways, and they made them. I bought one because there's a way of supporting them, and I like what they do. They made that, and they make other things. So, you know, there are opportunities there. Calcs, 3D. Yeah, you know, Clive, there's a myriad out there. All you got to do is search for 3D prints, STL prints, .stl, and you know, there are little 040 locals out there that you can download. Simple stuff. Yeah, we'll see if we can get this West Highland Railway out for one last run. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, it struggles over that corner. Yeah, it's an interesting topic, the 3D. And you know, I'd be happy to help or discuss if there's something you don't quite get or you need some help with. I'd be happy to do that. Super Kurashima. Oh yeah, I just noticed that. I just turned away and it took out the tunnel. It's not fixed in place as yet because I haven't finalised it. I have to figure out how I'm going to support or put a road bed or landscape over the top of it. I'll get around to that. So I have to keep an eye on those tunnels. But thanks for catching it. Well, HTML, that's another thing. You know, when I worked in the shipyards many, many years ago, I had to learn Fortran. It was if then go to was the most famous line. And it was interesting, but you know, difficult. It's all about syntax. It's how you wrote the instructions. You know, G code, as I mentioned, it's the same. There's ways of doing it. So. So, Flymo, were you trying to write web pages or just write programs? What was your goal with the HTML? because that's primarily for web pages, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Newland, that's a good idea. Servo mounts, right? As long as you can sketch out what you need dimensionally, and then put it into the software. And as I said, look at Tinkercad as an opener. Digger Evans, how are you? Good of you to drop by. I know there's competition out there, so I thoroughly appreciate your support. Yeah, so just sketch it out. And the one thing you can bear in mind, if you're thinking about a little clamp, just draw a pencil line of it on a piece of paper. If you're looking from the front of it, and it's got to be an inch wide or depth, whatever way you want to look at that. And then what you would do is you could put that line into the software and give it depth, let's say 1 millimeter, and then you project or stretch it into or in or away from the face by the appropriate distance. And if you look at Tinkercad, you'll see what I mean. Well, the BIOS system. Yeah. The HTML kind of rings a bell because many years ago I was a project coordinator on a project for a carbon facility in China, and we had to use Chinese manufactured steel. So the specifications for the steel, as you can imagine, were quite different. And when you build a model of a facility structure, columns and beams and joists and braces, you've got to have the library of every element, every structural section with all the critical dimensions on it and properties. And then you have to build a library of that. In other words, you have to write out the line string text that describes that structural section. And we had thousands of them to do. And I was getting grief from the project manager because it was taking forever. But the problem was if I didn't complete that task and complete it correctly, the model wouldn't be right, and ultimately the drawings wouldn't be right. But now we're getting at the point where drawings really aren't the thing, it's the model, because you can produce a model and then extract the data and send that data to a machine that will cut the steel section to length or whatever. So it's a changing world out there. Yeah, start at the bottom and work up. Yeah. So lots of interesting things going on out there in engineering that are directly related to some of what we do here on the model railway. And if you want to get into coding stuff, yeah, you've got to learn another language, and it's a bit daunting in the beginning, but if you break it all down into basic elements and study it, you can find a way through. Anyway, white wall wheels, one hard core. Good afternoon. Nice of you to drop by. What have you been up to? I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. And what are your white wall tyres running these days? That's probably a good question. Oh yeah, G-code for your laser, Alan Reynolds. Yeah, you need the G-code, see? Yeah. But the software would know the G-code, it just interprets it. It's resident. The G-code is resident in the printer, and it's described via the slicer. So I don't think you really have to worry about it a great deal, unless you want to get deeper into it. Yeah, Alan, are you actually cutting stuff on the laser? There's actually there's a new one out on the market. It's kind of a tabletop thing that opens up. I might have a look at it. It's probably meant for hobbyists, right? Because you can do lots of stuff. I've got one of these cricket machines, and I'm trying to figure out what I should do with it, what I can do with it, and when you look at Chandwell, Michael's got a terrific layout there. It's a terrific channel, and I love his approach to everything that he's building there. Now you could use a cricket machine to cut everything out if you put the drawing of the data into the machine. So that's something else that you could do. So Bernie, there's my Deltic. I put it on just for you. Fife and Forth for yeomanry. Yeah, they're always looking for a bigger one. Anyway, guys, I've got babysitting duties I have to get back to. Thanks very much for dropping by. Really appreciate it. If there's anything that I can help you with the 3D printing in terms of information or suggestions, just reach out. I'd be happy to do so. Yeah, petrol bus. Yeah, it's actually the Glasgow Corporation bus, right? So, yeah, thanks very much for dropping by. I really appreciate it because I know your time is valuable and there are other entertainers out there. So, drop by again next time and we'll see what else we can bring out to run here and what other topics we can discuss. Yeah, they are, very much so. Yeah, okay, Alan, we'll do that. So, bye for now, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time here at Partickhill Station.